Welcome to Too Long Didn't Read History, where I, a bored stay-at-home mom who misses teaching, teaches you fun facts about history without boring you with the details. So raise your hand if you've ever been told that soccer and rugby are the parent of American football. While it is true the influence is there, it's also a simplified version of the events, and it's important to note that the very first official game of each of those sports took place within a decade of each other, with soccer taking place in 1863, rugby in 1871, and American football falling in between in 1869. Now, we see a lot of written records of ball games tracing all the way back to ancient China, Homer's The Odyssey, places like the Yucatan Peninsula, Japan, New Zealand, etc. Now, soccer does have the most clear and consistent history tracing back to 3rd century China, and rugby and American football are more likely derived from a medieval European game called mob football. Now, mob football was described as allowing anything short of manslaughter and murder, and you would think with a description like that it wouldn't be very popular. But it was so popular in England that in the Highway Act of 1835, they had to outlaw playing it in the street because it was causing issues. Violators owed about 40 shillings, which is about $400 today. Now, this influence spreads out of Europe and into the Americas, but it's also too important to note what else is happening at this time, with explorers traveling all over the world and witnessing other cultures and playing other games with these people, and then bringing it back to wherever they were. So it's important to recognize that sort of influence that would have had on those three sports. Now, the very first game of American football was played on November 6, 1869 between Princeton and Rutgers, and it actually didn't look anything like American football, rugby, or mob football. It looked a lot like soccer, just a modified version. Now, Canadian and American colleges would then play each other for the next several years, and they would just kind of pick and choose which rules they wanted to use. It wasn't until 7 years later at the Maciot Convention that Walter Camp writes down the rules that establishes American football as we know it. He turns the sport away from soccer and more towards rugby and mob football, adopting the 11-man team, the line of scrimmage, and the use of downs. Now, Walter Camp worked with Theodore Roosevelt to try and reform the game to make it more safe after there were so many fatalities and injuries, which also led to the establishment of the NCAA, which is headquartered in Indianapolis, Indiana, which in turn makes Walter Camp a Hoosier.